do what thou wilt shall be the whole law. I'm with Sister Rebecca from William Blake. She was one of the presenters at this year's Feminine in Thelema Women's Symposium Conference.
It was amazing.
Yes, it was extremely amazing. And tell us about your presentation, Sister.
Okay, well, I presented the role of sex, gender, and identity in magic. It was basically a talk on how these issues, which society would like us to think are fairly simple, are actually not as simple as we would like to describe them. I come from a background that includes a lot of coursework and an undergraduate degree in biology, a lot of studying in science, a lot of work in education. I have my master's in education. So I've spent a lot of time researching this, and it's something fairly close to my heart because I myself don't identify as part of a binary, and several of the people that I'm closest to and love dearly do not identify as part of a binary. And just helping the world understand how they exist and how that happens is important.
Okay. Going forward after this conference, how would you implement with the OTO some of these ideas in a grand scheme?
Well, one of the things I've seen, I do like the fact that we can take on the role of priest or priestess in a private mass, but for those people who are gender fluid, it would be incredibly amazing for them to actually not be required to declare that they want to be a priest or priestess, but actually be able to, when they become ordained clergy, be identified as just ordained EGC clergy. Coming up with something very gender neutral, even if it is just clergy. Being able to respect and understand, people like Sister Kathy, who is a beautiful sister, embracing and acknowledging her presence as feminine and female, and not being like, well, you declared once upon a time when society was putting pressure on you that you were something else. Just having an open mind and having more Thelemites realize that this is actually a real issue and there are real personal, important, individual reasons why people would keep these things to themselves while they're trying to wrestle through and deal with the impact of society on them and trying to come to terms with accepting themselves.
Okay. What would you consider, if we were to, just do one small step towards that? Because that's a big, huge step.
That is a
changing
big,
the EGC, because that means, we have an EGC hand
It
manual.
is a huge step. That is like the big, massive step. I think a small step would simply be something as easy as not walking up and assuming that, oh, you're in a very pretty dress. Clearly you're my sister. But instead coming up and being like, hi, how do you identify?
And I would respond as a bisexual female.
And that would let me know I should call you sister. I've seen people who wear beautiful dresses who are like, I identify as male, and so I should actually be calling him brother, not sister. That's a small step. It's just being open to understanding that not necessarily what you see and what you interpret is what the person internally identifies. The smallest step is just being open to start the conversation of, hi, what can I do to actually make you feel more comfortable?
That's really good. So, education.
Yes.
Is a good way for us to start. So maybe personally as a clinical body master, I have to admit, I was floored by your presentation. It brought up some things I had not even considered. Growing up in a very traditional Christian family, I don't even talk about my gender sexual preferences in my family because I know I'd be horrified. So, it's starting a conversation.
I grew up in a Southern Baptist family myself. A lot of times growing up, I got, why can't you be more girly? You're not girly enough. And I'm like, but I'm wearing makeup. Why is this not girly enough? What do you need me to do to be girly enough? What is girly enough? And embracing the fact that that's what society defines as a gender role is not necessarily how I see myself as. I identify as pangender because I see myself as encompassing all aspects of all genders out there. I I don't feel like I fit neatly into one box. I like pretty clothes, but I'm very assertive and aggressive. And until such a time that gender identification becomes a non-thing, the best way for me to at least cope with it is to be like, well, you know, I'm not really a girly girl. I'm also occasionally masculine. I'm also occasionally feminine. I'm also occasionally agender. I'm also occasionally polygender. I mean, it just changes from moment to moment depending on what I'm doing and who I'm with.
It makes a great deal of sense. Thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it so
Thank you
much.
so much for being part of this. This was an amazing weekend. I was so glad to be part of it.
Oh, so was I. This is Ishil Galantle with 0 = 2 blog. Love is the law, love under will.